All right, so what we're going to do here is that we're going to read this update. This is from May 25th, 2023, and this is specifically from News One. Mother of teen in city bike video speaks out. No one bothered to ask him what happened. In an exclusive interview with News One, a 17-year-old who refused to give up his bike. And let me repeat that again because a lot of people underneath the shorts and the videos that I've made, they've consistently stated that this was a man, that this was a group of men. And this is why I told people to either use male, to use something other, because usually when it deals specifically with our sons out here, with our nephews out here, with our grandsons out here, and they're teenagers, they always want to age them up to make them seem as though that this is a group of men. And I told people to be very careful of the types of things that they decide to follow, that they decide to say. And this is exactly why. In an exclusive interview with News One, the 17-year-old who refused to give up his bike to Sarah Jane Comrie stated she's been rewarded for her antics while he and his family are suffering. Mary and Michael are eager to talk, but Betty, their mother, is reluctant to let Michael speak to anyone. He's only 17 years old. Quote, he's my baby. He's a senior in high school. He should be planning to attend his prom and looking forward to walking the stage at his graduation in a few weeks. But instead, he and his family have spent last week and half looming in turmoil. Michael is a teen in the infamous city bike video with Sarah Jane Comrie, the woman who has been accused of weaponizing whiteness and her tears in an effort to take the bike from the teen in New York City. Betty has seen video after video of racists and trolls calling her son a thug and a thief and labeling him as a man when, in her words, he's just a boy. It hurts her when people say these hurtful things that she knows are not true about him. Betty is upset because she states that the narrative has been one-sided. Quote, no one bothered to contact us to find out Michael's story. They all write all of these things about him, but no one bothered to ask him what happened or look at his receipts. Michael then states, quote, that's because if they have my side of the story, she doesn't have a case. Throughout the entire 50-minute interview with Betty and her son, she had her phone out watching video after video of conservatives and racists stating negative things about her son. She is afraid that someone will try to harm her son or her family. Quote, no one is helping us. We are poor people. We are immigrants. We can't afford a lawyer. Mary, who is 24, and Michael told their mother that now is their chance to tell their side of the story. Betty agreed only on the condition that their names are changed to protect their identities. Quote, I don't want anything to happen to my family. Do you know what I mean? Mary and Michael live with their parents and another brother in an apartment in the Bronx. Mary and Michael were born in the United States, but their parents are immigrants from West Africa. Mary, her other brother, and both parents work to help contribute to the family income. Quote, we live in the Bronx, but my brother spent a lot of time in Harlem. He has friends there. On May 12th, the date of the incident, Michael and four of the teenagers rode bikes from the Bronx to Harlem. Quote, my brother is an extreme city bike rider. He is in a group called City Bike Angels that sends out free stuff to people who have accumulated a certain amount of points. And my brother has been a frequent city bike rider since 2020 or 2021. Michael stated it's a regular routine with him and his friends. They meet up in the Bronx, find the new e-bikes City Bike has out, and ride them all over New York City. Understanding how city bikes work. Quote, I use city bike every day, and this is stated by the Sun. I use the bikes to get to and from school. If I'm traveling anywhere in the city, even if it's from here to Brooklyn, my first option is city bike. It's my preferred mode of transportation. It's like my car. Michael stated that he and his friends, who are all from immigrant West African families, understand city bike and all of its programs. They use them because for teenagers like themselves, it's a cheaper option than taking the subway from borough to borough. Michael also stated that day they walked around the Bronx for 20 minutes before they found the highly coveted but hard to find new e-bikes. They took the bikes to Harlem first, where they stopped riding after 45 minutes. Michael explains that because his family receives some public assistance, he gets a discount on city bike rides. But after 45 minutes, the rate on the bikes increase. Michael stated that he pays for his own city bike account, and in order to avoid higher charges, he frequently stops his ride before they go over 45 minutes to reset and redock the bike. Redocking the bike resets the timer, allowing him to ride for another 45 minutes before stopping again. Quote, even regular city bike riders do this. The price goes up after 45 minutes for everyone. So people routinely ride their bikes, dock their bikes, ride their bikes, and dock their bikes again. Michael stated that after resetting in Harlem for a bit, the boys continued riding into the Lower East Side of Manhattan. They grabbed frozen yogurt and then headed to the City Bike docking station at First Avenue and East 30th Street near Bellevue Hospital in Kips Bay neighborhood. They docked their bikes at 7:19 p.m. and sat there to rest. Michael insisted he and his friends never left the bikes unattended. They don't leave the bikes, Michael stated. All four of his friends also have the same City Bike reduced fare membership, so they docked the bikes to stop the timers from going over 45 minutes. Four of the boys were sitting on their bikes as they reset, but Michael was standing next to his with his hands on the handlebars. They were there for a few minutes when they said that Sarah Jane Comrie approached their group. She initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike he was resting on. He politely declined, informing her that they were going to be leaving shortly after using the bikes again. She next approached a different boy in the group and asked him the same thing. That boy also politely declined. Michael was standing near his bike with his hands on the handlebar. According to Michael, Sarah Jane Comrie asked him, "Can I please have this bike?" Michael declined. "No, I'm about to take it back out." Michael then stated that Sarah Jane Comrie then stated to him, "I'm pregnant. Can you help a pregnant woman out?" Michael said he then told her, "I'm sorry, ma'am. I've ridden this bike all the way from the Bronx and I need this bike to go back home." Michael says that is when Sarah Jane Comrie moved closer to him and his bike, leaned over him, and scanned the QR code with her phone, even as he had his hands on the handlebars. She then pushed her way onto the bike and attempted to remove it from the docking station and take it. It was 7:24 p.m., and that is when the boys began recording. You can hear them in the video calling for someone to record Sarah Jane Comrie at the beginning of the footage. Quote, "You know if someone is using something. There are obvious physical cues to let you know when something is in use or someone plans to use something." And that was stated by Mary. Michael insisted Sarah Jane Comrie knew he was planning to use the bike. He stated that she asked him and his friends to use theirs, and they all informed her that they were using the bikes and would be leaving shortly. He then stated that she seemed annoyed that they wouldn't willingly give up their bikes to her. He also stated that he believes she wanted that bike as opposed to the others that remained docked in the rack because he had one of the newer e-bikes. The rest of the interaction plays out in the video. Sarah Jane Comrie, dressed in scrubs, bearing the NYC Health Plus hospital logo, removed her work ID badge from her neck, placed it in her bag along with a brown paper bag she was holding, and began screaming for help. The boys can be heard repeatedly telling her it's not her bike. During the film part of the interaction, Michael was able to successfully push the bike back into the dock. He stated he then entered the bike's number into his phone to put the reservation back onto his account. Michael stated when Sarah Jane Comrie noticed him doing this, she snatched his phone out of his hand, which is shown directly in the video. Michael's story directly contradicts the narrative that Justin Moreno, the employment lawyer representing Sarah Jane Comrie, gave in a statement. In that statement, the lawyer wrote that Sarah Jane Comrie approached the rack of city bikes and got on an available bike which no individual were on or touching. Moreno also wrote that Comrie was allegedly backing the bike out of the dock. A group of 5 individuals approached her, stating that the bike was theirs. One or more individuals in that group physically pushed her bike with her on it back onto the docking station, causing it to relock. Moreno originally made a public redacted alleged receipt, but as of Wednesday, his apparent Twitter account posted the unredacted receipt showing that Sarah Jane Comrie had rented the bike for 1 minute at 7:24 p.m. The young man Michael provided News One with copies of all of his receipts for the bike from that day. They showed that he originally rented the bike at 5:53 p.m. He returned it after his final ride at 10:12 p.m. Each of the following receipts he has sent for reviews shows him riding the bike in intervals of 45 minutes or less, redocking the bike and then taking it out again a short time later. Michael stated that I can't say that all of this is not affecting me. At first, I felt supported. I was like, I went through this thing, people saw the video of it, and they were supporting me. But all of that changed when Moreno put his statement out in the media. When those receipts got released, everything flipped. People started calling me a thief, a thug, and a black man. It's definitely having an effect on me. It's just like, wow, this is crazy. He also added that she did something wrong and she basically got rewarded for it. She made over $100,000 on a GoFundMe. She got all the white conservatives on her side. Everyone who was on my side has just kind of stayed silent. Michael and Mary state that's why Mary posted a video on TikTok about the ordeal. They stated that they were tired of the narrative claiming that he tried to take something from Sarah Jane Comrie when it was the other way around. Mary made a TikTok video telling her brother's side of the story, and it caught the attention of social media influencers, including Tizzy, that guy, Daneshi, who shared it on their platforms. In the video, Mary provides receipts to prove her brother was the one who had rented the bike first.
The only reason why Sarah Jane Comrie was able to produce this receipt for this bicycle is because she jumped over this young man standing right here who had his hands on the handlebars, jumped over him, impales herself on his bike, and scans the QR code to begin the ride. How did all of this happen, and how do I know what happened? Because that young man is my little brother. Bike number 5603915 was in my brother's possession from St. Nicholas Ave and Manhattan Ave all the way to First Ave and East 30th Street from the hours of 6:33 p.m. to 7:19 p.m. At 7:19 p.m., they dock the bikes. Sarah Jane Comrie walks up to them, asks, "Hey guys, can I use one of you guys' bikes?" She says this as there are other bikes sitting idle at the bike rack. They politely decline. She asks them again, mentions that she's pregnant, and they still decline. Then, with my brother standing next to the bike with his hands on the handlebars, she jumps onto the bike, sits on the bike, and scans the QR code, thus beginning her ride. Mind you, the bike was in my brother's possession at this time. So this screenshot is from 6 minutes after the previous ride ended. Once the boys reached the bike rack, they docked the bike to restart the ride. My brother's standing next to the bike. That's when Sarah Jane Comrie walks up to them and asks, "Hey, can I ride this bike?" They say no. They politely decline. She asks them again. They politely decline. As the bike is docked is when she jumps over my brother because he's standing with his hands on the handlebar. She jumps over my brother to start her ride. Then the bike gets pushed back in during the back and forth. And then my brother is able to start the ride again for him. As you can see, 7:25 p.m. Previous ride ended 7:19 p.m. These gentlemen, these boys, did not steal this bike from Sarah Jane Comrie. She stole the bike from them, then proceeded to weaponize her whiteness. Video started being recorded at 7:24 p.m., close to 7:25. My brother's ride that was in the previous screenshot starts at 7:25. The initial ride where my brother rode the bike all the way over to this bike dock ended at 7:19 p.m. Sarah Jane Comrie walked up to them. Sarah Jane Comrie asked them if they can use the bike. They said no. Sarah Jane Comrie sees that the bike is docked, gets up, scans the QR code, jumps onto the bike, start screaming for help and fake crying so that she can get an electric city bike. There were a number of bikes at the bike rack already there when she arrived. She still proceeded to try to take the bike from my brother. Help. Trying to get help for the city bike. The city bike is in my brother's possession on his account. 7:25 p.m. Docks it at 7:19 p.m. Picks it back up 7:25 p.m. While she's screaming for help, 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 trying to make it seem like these boys stole this bike from her, the bike is on my brother's account. It is not defamation of character if the way that you behave reflected your character. It is not defamation if it's true. Sarah Jane Comrie, you did behave like a Karen. That's true. There's no way around that.
Quote, I'm unable to wrap my mind around any of this. My brother has been riding city bike for 3 years, and nothing like this has ever happened. My family has never been involved in a situation like this. It's a lot. I'm the person that's appointed to be the representative for my family. My parents are immigrants. My mom doesn't know what to do. She can't handle any of this, so it's up to me to figure out what to do. Mary also stated that she has reached out to attorneys to get their help or legal representation, but thus far, no one has offered to help. She also stated that she contacted a prominent civil rights attorney who initially tweeted about the video, but he advised her he doesn't practice that kind of law and suggested that she contact the New York Bar Association for referral. Quote, there have been a bunch of roadblocks to getting my brother's story out here. He's only 17. He doesn't deserve to be going through this. And this woman just comes up and starts harassing a bunch of teenagers. Mary also stated that her brother's friends started recording because they wanted to stay safe. Quote, the mother stated, this situation is really driving me crazy and making me sick. We have never been in this situation before. We came to this country to make a better life for our kids. We are not thieves. Just because we are poor doesn't mean we are thieves. The mother also stated that Michael had to stay home from school for a few days because of his mental anguish of the incident and all that has come from it. As a mother, you don't want to see your child like that. His mother also stated that she was horrified when she first saw the video. Quote, my reaction when I saw it was, oh my God, I almost lost my son in that moment. Do you understand me? I am not from here, but we all know this country. But how the policemen here do our sons and our husbands and our fathers, they erase us. She also stated, so with a white woman standing right there and screaming for someone to help, if the police had come and my son was standing there, they're going to go after him. If he runs, they are going to erase him. Everyone is taking her side because she is rich and she is white and she hired a lawyer and that lawyer is defending her. They put it all over the television and no one tried to find out who the boy is who could have lost his life. They didn't want to find who the family is. Everybody just ignored us like we don't matter. I don't care how much money that lady is getting because if I were to lose my son, the whole world full of money would not bring him back. Yes, we are immigrants. Yes, we are poor, but we are not thieves. I get EBT because I wish I could afford to feed my children, but I can't. I work 7 days a week. We aren't hurting anybody. So I just want to state I want to give a shout out to News One for um, covering the story and for actually speaking to the family because as we look since this has been going on, you have not seen any outlets really try to get in, even small ones. You haven't really seen them try to go out there and really speak to the family, right? Because normally what happens is that, as most people would like to say, oh, there's two sides to every story. The only side that was realistically being told for about a week or however long it was at this moment, um, is the side of Sarah Comrie. And one of the main things that I stated that her lawyer could have did from the very beginning is, file whatever paperwork or documentation that was needed and get the receipts from both the young man and also get the receipts from Sarah Comrie. That would have basically fixed a lot of the things that was going on so that people can have right all of the information correct. You got 50% of the information directly from the young man, and you got 50% of the information from Sarah Comrie, correct? Altogether, that makes 100%. But the funniest thing is, even when you look through the comment section, I'm talking about more so specifically on News One, even with all the information that is given from all of the sides, you still have people talking about, oh, well, I wonder what's going to be said when the CCTV footage is basically, when it comes out and everything is all said and done. Notice how the goalpost gets moved. So because now you have more information, you have more about the family, more about the teenager that was there, and this is the main reason again why I told people before, like, hey, you know, the wording in a sense it matters, right? And that's due to a fact again that every single time that our sons are directly out here, people will categorize them right as men. Even still, throughout people knowing his age, you will still have people going out on social media. Oh, look at these black men, these black men, these black men. And you can look all over the place. It don't matter if it's specifically ones out there that hate black men. It don't matter if it's the normal majority. It doesn't matter if people of other ethnicities that are not even in the United States. And all of these individuals have categorized, even still, even underneath this exact same article on News One, you have people categorizing them as thieves, as thugs, trying to criminalize them. And they don't know anything about these young men at all. Like these are people that are just hoping they want something else to come out to basically prove their suspicions, to prove their theories right. And even if nothing comes out, they're still going to refer to them as they want to refer to them as. But yet these are the same exact ones who want to say that, oh, I don't see color, I don't see race, I don't see any of these things. Right? These are the same ones that always wants to say that, oh, I'll hold my opinion because there's always two sides to every story, right? Because whenever it is that black people show footage of things that others are doing and saying directly towards black people, all of these people we don't know what happened beforehand. We don't know specifically what was said, not giving a justification as to why it is that they were able to say the things that they said. But we don't specifically know what specifically set this person off. Maybe it could have been a bad day. Maybe it was a hard day at work. Maybe they're dealing with the family. Maybe they're dealing. They'll always give an excuse, right? They're always giving a deflection. They always give a protection, right? And they always set up to say, oh, there's always two sides to every story. But again, the main thing that has always been true for America, the moment in time that it looks like one of their own is going to be put underneath a type of lens, not due to the fact of technically anything that they stated, but due by way of the fact of the actions that they showed. Again, let's go over the fact that Sarah Comrie decided that she wanted to, firstly, she took off her badge, right, to try to take off any way of being identified. Then she put away her lunch bag into a larger bag, right? And then she proceeded to then start yelling for help, help, somebody please, help, help. Usually, if we go through history, right, if we look at any type of, movies, television, whenever a woman is normally yelling for help, that means that something is really happening, something detrimental, or something detrimental is about to happen, right? So she's calling for help in order to get the attention of other men out there or of the police, right? In order to fix the situation, right? In order to stop the criminals or the thieves from doing whatever it is that they're doing. But in this instance, these were young black teenagers who always use City Bike to the point where they have the rewards or however the membership of the rewards, and then they're part of a program where they deliver stuff, which I find to be pretty dope, which I think is a pretty positive thing, right? I think that's pretty cool. And Even with all of the information out there, they're still getting demonized because a woman who was yelling for help and then started fake crying with no tears coming out. Even the young man in the video pointed out, he was like, "Yo, miss, stop crying. Stop your fake crying. Not miss, not even a tear dropped. A tear didn't even come out, miss." Right? And he was laughing. Right? Because it is comical that you go from the whole thing of trying to have a stern voice of telling somebody, "Yo, get off me, dude. Get off me." Right? Because you want that bike. He completely stated everything that took place. And again, when you look through the comments underneath News One and Twitter, he stated everything that happened, right? He stated that, yo, she came through and asked, quite a few of us for our bikes, and we, told her no, that we were just redocking and we were waiting so that we can continue on to our trip. He was stating this is something that others do as well. But again, when you look through the comment section, other people want to make it seem like, oh, they're just not trying to pay for anything. They're trying to game the system. They're this and they're that, right? Trying to continue the narrative that they're thieves, right? But yet, this is something that other people who use city bikes do all the time. Because if the roles were completely different and this was an article basically talking about how to lengthen your amount of time on City Bike without having to pay exorbitant fees, oh, everybody would just be ecstatic. Everybody would be happy, but like, oh, I might not use City Bike, but this is great information. I'll keep this in mind. I'll share this article with my friends and family in some states that I know that they have these city, right? They would be saying that. They wouldn't be trying to say that, oh, you're just trying to game the system. You're stealing directly from this company. Oh, you're taking away money from the right. They wouldn't be trying to say none of that. But because the person here is a black teen that's doing it, now you want to criminalize it. Now you want to try to find some way to try to state that he's a thief and he's that, or the whole group are thieves, right? But the funniest thing is the main people that want to call this young man a thief are part of the same lineage, the same group that stole and took America by force. There were indigenous people that were here on this continent before they even touched it. But yet they decided that they wanted to claim it, they wanted to rename it, and then they wanted to take the title of indigenous, right? Because the real Americans are the ones that have been here, right? Before any Europeans set foot here. Those are the real Americans. Those are the true Americans, right? But those same people that want to call this young man and his family and his friends thieves are part of the exact same lineage who never actually earned or had a place on this continent, but yet again have the right to magically call somebody else a thief. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? But yet they don't want to go into that though. They'll say that, oh, that was the past, that was this, that was that, right? And those are the same group of people that pretty much eradicated, erased the people that were originally here, or at least to the point where there is no history of who it is that they were, what it is that they were doing, likenesses and different things of that nature. You got a lot of $5 Americans running around here, but they don't want to talk about that either. But they want to claim that they have a part, they have a stake directly here, that they are also part indigenous. Like I said, I find it funny. And again, this young man is going to have to deal with this for quite some time. Gonna have to deal with this for quite some time, which is unfair, which is 1,000% unfair. And again, main thing I stated before is, why didn't the lawyer go out of his way? Because again, he's a lawyer. He's supposed to make sure to prove that his client is right. Have all the evidence out there so people can, judge it by the evidence, versus him just going out there and doing press junkets, going all over the place and saying this and that, and knowing the fact, right, that there is nobody else to go against his narrative. Knowing the fact that there is nobody else to go against Sarah Comrie's narrative. There's only one narrative that has consistently been out there. And it wasn't really up until recent that another narrative came out there. And the funny thing for me is, I believe more in what it is that the family is stating than Sarah. And the reason why is due to the fact of how everything is put together from start to finish. How it is that the young man explained everything. Explained everything. And then on top of that, some of those things were also listed in the video. And I want to go back to that again, where you had a young man in the video where he offered up his bike. He was right next to Sarah Comrie, and he offered his bike to her multiple times. She was like, hey, miss, like, oh, it ain't even necessary. You can have this bike. You can take my bike. You can take my bike. Right? She didn't want to take it. She ignored him. She kept yelling, help, 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 help. Matter of fact, let's go to that clip.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my hand.
My dude, stop. No. My dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Hey, stop touching me. I want to touch you.
Hold up.
Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Why don't you take this bike?
Stop touching me.
I will.
Exactly. So take it.
Out of here.
So take it.
You're stupid ass. Out of here. Dumbass.
How you stop crying? Not a tear came down, miss. Not a tear came down.
So again, you were able to see what took place with those short 2 clips, right? You had the one instance where Sarah and the other young man were arguing, and then the other young man that was right next to her on the bike, he was like, hey, miss, look, you can take this bike, right? And the friend was stopping him, was like, yo, what are you doing? No, don't give her that bike. It's the principle. Don't sit up there and do that. You was on that. Right? Basically telling them that. And the guy was like, yo, man, it don't even matter. It's whatever. Right? So then later on, you sit up there and see the coworker. He was like, yo, hey, Sarah, why don't you take this bike? And then she basically was like, okay, yeah, I guess I could take that bike. Now, remember, when the young man in the very first portion of that clip, he was talking to her, telling her to take that bike. She heard him. She turned directly to him, looked in his direction, and was still saying, help, 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 ignoring what it is that young man stated. Again, it's funny how people don't want to sit up there and pay attention to that. When you got proof that somebody had offered you a bike and you refused to take that bike up until somebody who looks pretty reflective to you told you, hey, why don't you take this bike? Then you wanted to calm down, be like, yeah, I guess I could take this bike. You could have been took the bike. You could have been took that bike. Like I said, the whole encounter would have been drastically cut short if she would have just initially took that bike and just moved on. And again, the young men originally found the bikes that they were on way earlier during the day. It took them 20 to 30 some odd minutes in order for them to basically find those specific bikes, which are the newer e-bikes, right? And those are the bikes that they had. And Sarah Comrie specifically wanted the bikes that they had instead of using the ones that were docked. So again, like I said before, it's funny to me when people want to make it seem like this is not something that took place. It's funny to me that people don't want to look at the fact that one of the young men tried to fix the situation earlier, but she didn't want to listen to him. She only wanted to listen when it came to one of her own basically telling her, hey, why don't you take this bike? So I wonder if she would have took that bike, would Sarah Comrie be facing the backlash that she's got? So I wonder if she would technically be on any type of paid leave. Better yet, I wonder if just a question, just a thought. I wonder if she would have actually gotten all of this money that she has been able to accumulate from a GoFundMe. And I wonder if she would have things would have been right back to normal and focused on clear